Alright, so after my last tracker video, one of my mates said that it would be cool if I could speak about how it was to be an immigrant in the UK while I'm driving a truck to the UK. So yeah, I just accepted the job from Rotherham to Manchester, and yeah, I can tell you all about it actually. So weirdly enough, I've never been to Manchester in real life. Pretty much my whole time in the UK was spent between Derby and Nottingham, proper East Midlands, Eastern Europe, however you want to call it. And I guess that's the first thing I would like to start with. I've heard so many people shit on Eastern Europe and the Balkans in the UK, but at the end of the day I don't think it's that different to the Midlands specifically. Both economically, quality of life wise, and the fact that it's just like a mixture of people. Yeah, it's quite the hodgepodge of culture, ideas, and everything. I was really surprised also by how terrible the housing is. Not in just the availability sense, it's just like you don't really have new builds, you just have like, well, you do, but like for common mortals who are just there, it's a lot of 1800s buildings that have been converted to flats, or you know, your half or quarter of a townhouse in various states of disrepair, old woods and stuff. So that was the biggest thing for me. It just felt more Balkans or Eastern Europe than Eastern Europe. Depressing houses and a mix of cultures. So anyway, since I started with a bit of a negative point, depending on how you view it, I moved to England back in 2013, I believe. And it had to do with my studies. I'm originally Greek, as many of you know. So EU, why not? They accepted us. I was already studying in a partner university, so I just did my third year in the UK. Speed cameras and roundabouts. I've only driven once in the UK, last time I was over, and it was quite the experience. Everyone seemed to follow traffic rules so much, and there were so many traffic cameras. It was one of the most soulless driving experiences I had. Anyway, that's not the point. Yeah, originally I went there because two of my friends were living there already, and they told me, oh, you know, University of Derby, it's just one town over, why don't you come over? I had visited England before. It wasn't that I just moved without knowing anything or not being able to speak the language. My English did get so much better after living in the UK. That being said, the Midlands accent did take me a while. Like especially back in those days that you went to a shop and they were like, oh, would you like a bag? But the way they would say it, it just wouldn't register to me. And it was quite funny because you hear British English in TV, you know, the posh Southern English, which obviously wouldn't work with the Midlands all that much. So I ended up watching a bunch of Jeremy Kyle episodes to prepare for my language level.
She said, I'm 100% sure I have passed the lie detector.
And also it was quite good. I finished my uni. I got really into Warhammer and the life there. So I really didn't want to move back to Greece. Obviously, job opportunities were not really there in Greece at all. Because my family is actually quite well off. Me being in the UK was more me doing my own thing and trying to make something for myself. It took me quite a while to actually start working because one of the things we didn't have that University of Derby did was the placement year. So I ended up finishing my bachelor's without doing it, so I had close to zero work experience. It was pretty much zero on my field because sure, I would make the odd plugin, website, script, whatever. But before that I only worked as a cook. So yeah, it took me 8 months. I decided not to use job seekers allowance or anything even though I was EU because I figured out, look, we're a rich family, some other people need the money more. I know this is probably a controversial statement anyway, but yeah, I didn't necessarily have problem integrating. After a while, I got my job, just a normal marketing agency, as there's craploads of them in Nottingham. The first years, I wouldn't necessarily say I experienced anything evil. It was normal, like, hey, you're a foreigner, but I generally believe the UK did EU the best, because you got your Nino, you open your bank account, you got an address, and they didn't really give a fuck about anything else, which was quite convenient, as opposed to, let's say, the Czech Republic, that I still have to use a bunch of my Greek tax codes, addresses, blah blah blah. I didn't really feel any racism, for, if that's the correct term, for being Greek or European or anything, which was quite good. You always heard stories. Brexit sentiments were building up, so anyway, let's get juiced up. That's the stuff. But yeah, as I was saying, I really like the UK, I really like the people. Obviously, like every other country, it has problems, but like, for example, I think it's a very accepting country. I think you have opportunities, but then like old school British classes, I feel is still a thing, and it manifests a lot in companies, and it goes back to the whole, oh, at least we're not Eastern Europe. Like, what the fuck do you want out of my life? Like, fuck off. I also found out that the UK felt very constricted, because unless you're specifically driving, and driving is quite miserable, I felt public transport could be either prohibitive in terms of pricing or timings. So I was far less inclined to go and explore the country. Because here, even without a car, I would just take a train and go to Austria. I would check different places in the Czech Republic. Going to Prague is not a big event. But when I went to London to meet one of my friends who was visiting, I had to book it a month in advance, and I still paid £100 return, which was really cheap. So, and I found something. I know prices have gone off the roof, but last time I was over, it was cheaper for me to take an Uber from Derby to Nottingham than go to the Derby train station and take a train to Nottingham. And like, what the fuck? I understand, like, it's not a big distance and everything, but it shouldn't be cheaper for me to Uber than use local transport to get from point A to point B, which is like city center of two towns close to each other. In my last video I was talking about significant emotional events. Me saying I would go to the next town over shouldn't be one. So the main thing I want to say is, like, I'm still really fucking grateful about all the people I've met in the UK and the opportunities the country gave me. I don't think I could have had that in many more places. Honestly, this might have been better as a live stream, but... And let me know if you would be interested in live stream. If you're watching until now, I'm sure you have thoughts, and my WhatsApp number. Yeah, maybe it would be interesting to speak about why I actually left the country. I was pretty sick of Nottingham in 2018, and I wanted to leave, so I started decluttering the whole thing. Damn, it's just like back home. And I quickly realized that it's like, look, I'm trying to settle down, see if I can start a family. I'm not happy in Nottingham. And this whole Brexit business, the way it's going down, I have no idea how it's going to play out, and I just know that I don't want to have to deal with this. So I had this idea that I should move to mainland Europe. I should move somewhere where English is kind of decent, find an English-speaking job, and that's kind of where my mind was. Fucking speed cameras, man. Like, fuck off. And that's the thing, really. All in all, do I regret leaving the UK? No. My career definitely went further when I left the UK, and I would also say that my money situation improved quite a bit. I'm definitely losing money out of this job. Anyway, thanks again for watching. I hope whoever asked about this, that's exactly the video you want to hear about my life as an immigrant in the UK. I'd love to hear your comments, criticisms, as everything, or if you want me to talk about something else. And yeah, have a good one.